No. I mean, I know where it is, but
I don't know any of the neighbors on that street, I don't think.
All right, Jeff, we're
Took some people.
ready for you to
Hello.
take
Sorry,
over.
we had a minor matter with the microwave.
Uh-oh.
Don't put anything with metal in
Yeah,
it.
This was metal adjacent, but the microwave took it as metal, so. A little messy. Nice light show from what I understand though.
It was a nice light show, lots of sparks and
Nice
bright
light
colors.
Before the bowl disintegrated in a pile of disintegrated bowl.
Oh,
Are we at the zoning administrator report or jumping to the zoning ordinance?
No,
changes?
we're to the zoning administrator part. We were next on the agenda.
So not a lot going on, at least not over the last month. The one pool at the Mecca property, that's that new parcel on Deepwood, corner of Deepwood and Main Street. Travis may have mentioned already, we had a DNR report that came in for the proposed Wind Point Dunes Golf Course project, dealing with the existing wetlands and confirming which ones are real wetlands, which apparently not many were, but most of them were created wetlands either intentionally or artificially. So it informs the process a little bit, but probably won't play any significant role within the planning effort. I sent out an email last week to Travis and to the new village administrator in Sturtevant saying, we had originally talked about kind of a late autumn start for the comp plan process update. But it's just with the schedules, mainly because it took a while for Sturtevant to find a candidate and then a hire for the village administrator. It ended up being, mid to late November. So it just makes more sense to wait until January and start it. It's really difficult to do kickoff meetings and things like that between the holidays because we all have, well, our focus generally is elsewhere other than on that kind of thing. So right now, I think what we'll think about is a plan commission agenda meeting for the initial agenda item for the initial meeting in January, both at Wind Point and Sturtevant, and we'll go from there. Nothing interesting coming out of the state beyond the one I sent in the last report. So that's it for zoning administrator's report.
Okay. Discussion and recommendation to hold a public hearing to amend chapter 36 zoning. You want to speak on that?
Yes, ma'am. So these are primarily housekeeping things. So you may recall one of the aspects of the zoning ordinance that we addressed was the fence issue. So the previous ordinance prohibited fences in certain places where the plan commission and the village board eventually decided to allow fences, mainly in the street yard with certain height limitations and such. And then we established the 2-foot setback from property lines, that kind of thing. The requirements you see here pertain specifically to the street yard fencing. So there's a little bit of ambiguity within the legacy parts of the old ordinance that are still in the new ordinance and then the new requirements. So you'll notice in items A and B, what I'm proposing to do is replace or rewrite the section 3663D2A2, just to clarify that it's more than 20% opaque. The fence is 20% or less opaque. What I did is essentially conflated the new requirements with the old requirements that came with something that says less than 50%. It's supposed to be more than. So anyways, that now conforms with the requirements that we wanted in place and the intent of the plan commission and village board when we updated the ordinance. So it's a relatively simple, relatively minor ordinance change. Item B is to remove the definition of ornamental fence. It no longer has a place within the ordinance. Now we have 2 different types of fences. We have screening fences and oh, hold on. Right, so removing the definition of ornamental fences because now it's going to be defined by the previous section. So apologies for jumping forward and then backward on that. Does that make sense? So if you look at item 2A, section 36, again, ornamental fence and maximum height, that's the language that we want. And once we have that language, then the language that is under the item B becomes obsolete. Any questions about that before we jump into the parking?
And a ornamental fence is just a fence that is for decorative purposes and it doesn't really shield anything or hold people in or animals in or anything of that nature.
Partially correct in the first part, a little bit off in the second part. So an ornamental fence can be absolutely restrictive or provide containment for pets and kids and stuff. So long, let me approach it a different way. An ornamental fence is any fence that has 80% up to 80, I'm sorry, at least 80% opacity. So if you think of a conventional picket fence, that's not an ornamental fence, but a split rail fence would be. If you think of that typical kind of 3-rail horse rail fence. The best example is probably a wrought iron fence. So a wrought iron fence, depending upon the separation between the vertical elements of it, would absolutely keep pets from getting, well, normal sized pets from getting out, normal sized kids from getting out. So they do function as, keeping within what we want within and keeping without what we want without. So it's not purely a decorative thing. It's just defined by how easy it is to see into and out of the property. And that's important for street yards because from a street yard standpoint, you want public safety to be able to have visual access of the principal structure from the road. So for a 4-foot fence under a current ordinance, it can be up to, it can be a complete opacity, and they can go with a 6-foot fence as an ornamental fence in the street yard. I'll jump to the parking stuff. And this is just language that when we decided to remove minimum parking requirements, there were these specific sections that were still out there that I just didn't track down and didn't bump into until we were talking about parking for the proposed Wind Point. Proposed is too strong a word. But when we had the concept discussion about potential development at Wind Point or at Shoup Golf Course Wind Point Dunes. So it's just language, it's requirements that were specific to when we had minimum parking stall requirements and minimum parking number of parking stall requirements that we just don't have anymore. So all that language just has to be removed. And then finally, at the bottom of page 2, item D, the one that we're removing is fence open. So the old ordinance had screening fences, ornamental fences, and open fences. The new ordinance essentially covers all those requirements within 2 categories, a screening fence and an ornamental fence. So it just renders the open fence as an obsolete fence type. That can be just removed in its entirety. Doesn't exist anywhere in the ordinance right now other than in the definition section.
Okay, so at this point, I assume we make a motion to
Recommend the changes.
recommend changes and
For
pass the
public
carriage
hearing.
board.
First, we'll hold the recommend to have a public hearing
Oh.
on these proposed changes.
Okay,
We have to recommend a public hearing.
yeah,
Recommend these changes for a public hearing by the plan commission.
Right, so statutorily, anytime you do a text amendment or a mapping amendment to a zoning ordinance, it has to go through a public hearing before it can be adopted. The Plan Commission's role in that process is to schedule the public hearing. And Travis, I think if I remember correctly, the Plan Commission does the public hearing, does it not?
Yes.
Right, so basically you'd be recommending to yourself. So the recommendation would be to schedule a public hearing at the December or January meeting of the Plan Commission to received testimony in support of our opposition to the recommended changes to the ordinance. At some point after that hearing, then the plan commission would vote on making a recommendation to the village board to adopt those changes. We do a simple notice of publication and ordinance amendment, and good to go.
What is this?
Make a motion to schedule a public hearing to make the recommended changes at the next planning commission meeting.
That Rhoda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, motion passes 5-0. And I'm assuming our next public meeting, our next meeting will be in January.
Probably,
Yeah.
after the holiday season.
Yeah.
It'll be beautiful.
December 24th or.
I'll be on time for that one, I promise.
I'll check with Jeff
Beautiful place on that day, right?
dates and then I'll send them all to you once they're available. And then, yeah, I'll hold it.
Yeah, Travis, one thing that might be helpful, particularly for the new plan commission members, or just a reminder for everybody, is if you could send out the copy of the proposal for the comp plan update, to just kind of get familiar with it. Plan commission is, by statute, the plan commission is the primary governmental body responsible for the process of developing a comp plan, administering a comp plan, and amending a comp plan. It's one of the few specific items within state stats that pertain exclusively to plan commission, where they clearly define a plan commission's role. The process is probably going to be relatively brief, at least compared to past projects. I think your current plan, when it was created by Racine County, was a 2.5 to 3 year process. This one's probably going to be like 6 months, maybe a little bit longer.
So this is all, now we're to referrals, so I have to schedule the plan commission.
Still the question what this was for.
That's just for your record and information to look over. No action
So you
needed.
know what's going on.
Okay.
So you know what's going on in the village.
Yes, that's right, then I have it.
So like in the question was asked earlier, like breeding areas for vermin and noxious weeds, what is it? Is that an actual violation and what is that? What were they trying to claim?
It is nice to know the background on that though. I mean,
Yeah.
when you read this like this, you think, oh man, that person is.
I thought it was one of these people that let their lawn get this long or something like that.
No, it's not, I mean, it's not a terrible property, they just have a different look of how they,
Aesthetic?
yeah, it's not what their neighbors want, so.
Okay, and the other ones are kind of installation of a fence without a permit and commercial vehicles parked too long. Those all kind of made some sense. What?
They have been dealt with.
But that one was kind of confusing.
But there is that one where he's got that.
The what, food truck, the woman?
Yeah, wasn't
We
one
do
he's got
get people that
here.
ask us, you know, what's happening with this down the street?
Yeah.
And it's nice to see this. I really appreciate this. I really do.
Yeah.
Then I can say, okay, they've handled it.
Yeah, and they're on the village board package too, so if you wanna see like a.
Yeah.
Up to date one monthly too, you can always check the village board one.
Okay, so we don't have to follow this.
Just for your information,
Isn't
if
you
you,
have one time, but one person that keeps violating the sign. Talked about that for hours. I didn't know it would actually apply to anywhere, but I see it means something here.
those are our two favorite properties, Jeff, that are on their lot.
What,
Yeah.
Kurt and the Jim Lane one, 214 East 4 Mile.
Around the corner. I think that's the one.
Is that like right across from the park?
Office, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Oh.
It's like a big,
Like,
you put like a big sign up.
Yeah.
what about the one right at the corner? Not, this one. This side. It's this side.
No,
Oh.
on the corner of 4 Mile and Main Street.
Yeah, and 4 Mile and Main, like 4 Mile and Main, right in the corner, it's on this
Down
side,
the,
it's on this corner.
Oh, the Frank Lloyd Wright building?
Southeast side.
Yeah, there's
That was a Frank Lloyd Wright one where they had the roof issues and all that.
Just right on the corner. Exactly, they have trucks there and they've been fixing for years. I
Yeah,
think it
years.
That was in the paper for a long time.
It was, I walked
I
through
walked
there.
through there and someone
Yeah.
had started the work,
Mhm.
but then somehow they got water in it and all of the walls that they had put up in drywall, it was
Yeah.
all full of mold.
And then
So they
they
had
were
to restart
ripping,
the whole
they
thing.
were.
Is that
ripping
recently?
everything out.
No, it's
Wow.
like 4 years ago.
Okay, cause I remember seeing a lot in the paper, but I guess I don't get the paper anymore, so. It's like, yeah, did that start over?
Right now, it's somewhat,
Okay,
somewhat clean outside.
well, I think,
Yeah, this thing.
you have your referrals.
Yeah,
Jeff, thank you so much again.
You're you're welcome. When you're sitting down, ready to log in and you hear, Daddy. It's like, okay, sorry, work takes.
So what kind of bowl was it? It just had metal in the pottery or something, or in the plastic?
Yeah, so it's, how do I describe this? It is a small pottery bowl, basically a rice bowl, but the inside had a shiny metallic. It's that very
Oh.
traditional Japanese style of rice bowl.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you looked at it, you would not think it was metallic. It's not metal, right? You can tell it's not made of metal.
Well, it had a metal coating.
Metal metallic
Yeah.
paint.
And that's what did it.
Bummer.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so the text came in and I said, we got this? Okay, I got to go to work.
Sounds very difficult.
So I
For
hope
the
everybody
balls.
has a safe holidays. Enjoy them. Hope Santa Claus
Thank
is nice to
you.
everybody.
A new set of bowls.
Exactly.
That's,
I'll put it on the list.
yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Do I have
Thanks,
a motion to
everybody.
adjourn?
Travis, we'll talk soon. Okay.
yep.
Yes, you have
Bye-bye.
money.
Do I have-
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
I'm kidding.
Adjourned at 5:55.